Ruby Tuesday Art, and today I'm teaching you one of my favorite watercolor techniques called wet into wet, which basically I think of as being my favorite way to color in with watercolor. Sorry for using quotation marks. But yeah, pretty much I think of this as being a great way to color in with watercolor and cover large spaces with color, and you get to play and see how watercolor paint like flows through the water, and you can tell that I love it. It's really, really fun, and the activities or techniques that I'm going to be showing you today are awesome for beginners. Doesn't matter if you're an adult or a kid, you will have fun with this. But the main thing that I want to stress to you is to just let go, see what happens, and have fun. All right, we're going to have a go at wet into wet technique, or wet on wet. Now, I've got my 2 jars of water. I've got my warm and my cool jar. I have a little tray of paints, which are the same ones that I have in my kits. This particular tray is an autumn palette. I've got my brush, which is a Princeton snap brush, and I think I've got a size 6 today. And I've got my paper towel to use for blotting. All right, so wet into wet is a really, really lovely technique, and it's also very fun to practice, especially with kids. So to start off with, what I'm going to do is just paint a puddle of water. Now, my water is quite green, so you may even be able to see it. But if you're doing this at home and using clear water that hasn't yet been muddied with a different color, then you might have trouble seeing the puddle on your page, but that's okay. So once you've got your puddle on the page, you want it fairly wet, but not too wet that it's like running off the page and sort of within the puddle. Got another puddle here, a bit like mine, where it's pooling at the edge. I'm actually going to just dab my paper towel on there to pick up some of the excess. So once you've got your puddle on the page, you want to grab a color, any old color, it doesn't matter, and just dab it. For this one, around the edge. And look, you'll see it flowing and creating this amazing effect that I think is quite unique to watercolor. And I'm just blobbing it through the middle there. I'm not really trying to achieve anything in particular other than just showing you this technique and all the different effects that you can create with it and with watercolor. So I'm going to do another puddle, just the same. And this time, what I'm going to do, and you can actually see mine again because my water is not clean. This time I'm going to grab that same color and just do some dots into the puddle. And you can just watch the way that the paint flows in the water. And you'll notice that if some parts of the puddle are drier, it will spread differently to where it is more wet and damp. Now I'm going to add in a couple of dots of another quite different green just to see how they interact. So this activity is incredibly fun, and I love to get people at my classes to just practice doing it over and over and over again, just filling their page with various puddles and doing different things. So the next one I'm going to do will be just another puddle like before. And you might notice if you're somewhere really hot that your puddles will dry quicker than if you are somewhere cool. I've noticed that before. Once I was in a really hot room with a fire going and my puddles were drying up almost too fast for me to even get the paint in there. So this time I'm going to try and create a gradient effect through the puddle. So I'm going to put a really concentrated amount of the paint at this end of the puddle and gradually work it through the puddle. You'll see that it goes from dark through to light. And there's some pretty obvious streaks there from my brush. So if you wanted to, you could maybe drag the brush through a couple more times but I like to tell people to just leave it and flow and see where it goes. Another thing that you can do is actually drip just water itself back into the paint to see what happens. Oh, I don't have enough on my brush, so I'll try again. And it might be a little bit hard to see that on the screen for you, but it's creating another really cool effect. Okay, so I'm going to just keep doing these puddles and doing different things in them. I'm actually going to make a really, like a coloured puddle with a really diluted version of this green, which I have just flicked everywhere. So I'm going to get some of that paint on my brush, and I've just added some more water to dilute it on my brush. And then I'm going to just add in some more of the paint in a really concentrated form. And then I'm going to have a go with it with this other green that I have here, and just drag the belly of the brush through there and literally just see what happens. So to actually put this into practice, once you've had a play and an experiment and just seen what watercolour can do, and it is wild, watercolour can do so many things, let's have a go at painting a leaf. I'm going to do a gum leaf, and I'm actually going to just sketch it first. So I'm grabbing a pencil. All right, I'm going to have a go at sketching it first. Just a really rough gum leaf shape. You can freehand this if you like, but I feel more comfortable with a sketch myself. All right, so I have a gum leaf, and I'm going to pick up my brush and just put some clear water, which mine is obviously a little bit dirty, so you will be able to see it, but some clear water into the leaf shape. And I've already gone outside the lines, and it does not matter at all. The leaf shape is basically just a guide. And then I'm going to grab my green and actually just dab it in and drag the brush along. I'm going through the edges, actually leaving the middle kind of free of colour. And then I'm going to pick up a yellow, just because gum leaves tend to have browny yellows. Actually, I'm going to grab this brown colour and just pop that in there too, for a bit of variety. Also at the end of the leaf. So you could have a go at doing that a few times even, having a go at dropping in colours in different places to create different effects. So that's just one of the ways that you can use wet into wet as kind of a form of colouring in with watercolour painting. And I would love it if you have a go at this at home. If you could tag me on Instagram, I'm at RubyTuesdayArt, because I'd love to see what you've made. Bye.